No need for an intro. Let's dive in.
Things that happened before the passing of Kobe and Gigi that don't sit right with me.
Oh shit! It's Kobe Bryant!
Help me.
Just pass me the trophies and we'll pull you out.
Pass.
The day before Kobe died, LeBron James passed up Kobe Bryant on the all-time scoring leaderboard in Philadelphia. And he did it on the 54th point. If you add their ages when they passed away, 41 and 13, you get 54. Look at the bottom left of the court. It's a snake cut up in 8 pieces, and Kobe used to wear the number 8. But that picture used to never be there. It used to be a circle of stars. This is the picture you get when you look it up. It says join or die. Day after Kobe died, LeBron James wore his jersey, did the Illuminati sign, and did the 666 with his fingers. I'm telling you right now, this gets a lot more darker, and I'm gonna make another video for it. Here are a couple more things that happened before Kobe Bryant passed away that just don't sit right with me. For years, Kobe Bryant was battling with a pharmaceutical company for the name Black Mamba. The company called High Tech wanted to make a diet pill called Black Mamba. They were going back and forth for over 3 years, and Kobe believed that the drug had harmful drugs that were not approved by the FDA. High Tech then fired back, calling him a bully and that he was overreaching his trademark rights. And 3 days before their court date, Kobe Bryant passes away. And 3 days before that, a major investor in High Tech got arrested for trying to legally sell fentanyl. And these big pharma companies have a lot of power. Now watch this Nike commercial that Kobe was in.
I'll leave it against you. So I should it in.
Black Mama doesn't end. Heroes come and go.
But legends are forever.
As far as the Kobe Bryant thing, that's off the charts symbology there. There's way too much there to even dissect, and honestly, the coincidence levels seem really, really high there. So I don't know for sure that what all goes into it, but it definitely seems suspicious at bare minimum.
At any given time, there are around 1,500 aliens on the planet. Most of them right here in Manhattan. And most of them are decent enough. They're just trying to make a living. Humans, for the most part, don't have a clue. They don't want one or need one either. They're happy. They think they have a good bead on things.
Well, why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat. And 15 minutes ago, you knew that people were alone on this planet.
Imagine what you'll know tomorrow.
They're here, aren't they?
Mr. Mulder, they've been here for a long, long time.
Wow. Okay, so 2 of the most impactful shows in what argue to be a message that's trying to be pushed, whether that's for people to know that there is alien life or to perhaps just think that there's alien life. So an agenda, that's at the end of the day, a lot of people say that an agenda is being pushed. As for what the agenda really is, there's a million different conspiracies for it. But part of the exciting and enjoyable aspect is the exploration of it. Both Men in Black and X-Files had a pretty notable impact on my childhood growing up. I'm sure a lot of viewers of this channel in general are at least familiar with these shows. The concept of aliens living among us is such a trope at this point, but it's such a profound concept, and I think a lot of us fantasize about it. I think the concept is vastly appealing to me, and it would make a lot more sense than if the opposite were true. And maybe that's why a lot of us really enjoy this stuff, because it does give a reason for it all, an excuse, a reason for the world being as upside down as it is. Nevertheless, interesting short here.
First strain of this new flu virus will be released to the public in late 2017. So if we see a flu outbreak in the late 2017 or early 2018 that's killing people, we'll know this is true. In 1994, the World Population Summit in Cairo, Egypt, had 160 nations participate. where they all agreed that the human population was out of control and must be stopped because the world is running out of resources. An agreement was formed that would mandate the reduction of humans from 6 billion to 800 million by the year 2030. This meant finding a method or methods to wipe out nearly 95% of the population. Solutions were discovered, investigated, tested, then created, and have been in full force since. The procedures have been inflicted onto the human race are as follows. 1. Toxic levels of chemically enhanced fluoride have been secretly added to our drinking water over the last 20 years in every city and community on the planet. I personally oversaw the delivery of fluoride barrels to Denver, Chicago, Tampa, and Minneapolis water departments. The adverse effects of fluoride poisoning to the human body are numerous and debilitating. The effects to children is damage to their neurological development, among other serious ailments. 2. Man-made viruses and diseases. The AIDS virus, which was a designer byproduct of the American Disease Institute, was distributed through vaccines to the public in 1980. Instituted as a preliminary population control tactic, the results were successful and led to more lab-produced viruses that have since been unleashed on the public. Among those is the development of a mutated version of the common flu to replicate the 1918 influenza pandemic that killed 40 million people. The first strain of this new flu virus will be released to the public in late 2017. So if we see a flu outbreak in the late 2017 or early 2018 that's killing people, we'll know this is true.
All right.
3. Killing us from the air with neurotoxins, barium chloride, cancer microbes, and viruses by way of chemtrails, released into the skies daily over all inhabited regions by military aircrafts. The effects of these toxins are severe and over time lethal, causing respiratory ailments, cancer, damage to the immune systems, and sterilization in men. Since the chemtrail plan was implemented, sperm count in men has dropped nearly 50%. If this isn't reversed soon, the human race will face early extinction.
When we think about it, there are two different real options for this. Either one, the people that were in charge of this were unaware of these consequences, or two, they were and it was intentional. Either way, either situation is not a good situation to be in. So really, it's just how bad do you want your outcomes? Unknown, worse, or the worst? Okay, so hold on here. I did want to see if it was going to continue here. So in the 2030s, brain-machine interfaces, technologies like Neuralink are becoming to connect the brain directly with the devices. This one seems like it is inevitably going to lead to AGI. That makes sense. That is back to back, because being able to utilize how you think that much quicker seems to be profoundly useful in the problem solving. Humans like AI transforms, quantum computing apps, problems in cryptography and medicine, synthetic biology. See, this is what I was talking about. They were saying 2 to 5 years that they were estimating getting robot companions, but I think this is much more accurate in the 2040s. I think that may even be stretching it, but that's realistically not too far away, 15 years. And I think, at least 10 years. So that seems fairly reasonable, 2040s, to see realistic robot companions. I know we have a number of them being teased today in technology, but I don't know how realistic it's going to be for most people to have them quite yet. So it's estimating in the 2050s we find cures for the anti-aging. So realistically, I mean, we're 2025, so yeah, 25 years, 25 early estimate they're saying. I've thought for a while that we might be the generation. It's almost like we are immortal in that we are theoretically the first set of beings that could reach this anti-aging point where the genes are, that gene is literally just turned off and we can essentially stop aging to the same degree. But it is interesting. We could theoretically be the first to be immortal. That's right around the same time that they're estimating that we get knowledge uploads. So you get Matrix instant style upload of knowledge. You can just immediately speak a different language, know a different trade skill just on the fly. That's wild. That right there is arguably the most appealing out of all of these future new technologies so far. By the 2060s, they're estimating eradicating major diseases there. Okay, so not too far after these massive leaps. So this is massive here too, because realistically, we are so bound by our landlocked living conditions. So being able to unlock the ability to have underwater cities, as well as terraforming Mars, an entirely new ecosystem and world, essentially. And then it's saying also artificial ecosystems. So presumably that would be living upon a ship as well, which, Cowboy Bebop style, let's go. Yeah, it becomes self-sentient like. There it is, digital immortality. So beyond the physical body, we can upload our consciousness and essentially live forever. And that's where really the question comes in of how much you enjoy your life. Do you want to theoretically live forever? I mean, again, we may very well get to this point. All of this stuff could potentially come sooner. So maybe that is our timeline, is through the becoming immortal via turning off our aging gene and eventually uploading our digital consciousness. Very interesting. Let's hope. If that's what you should desire anyway. Oh, here we go. That's the end of it. Okay. Self-sustaining habitats in the 2090s. Okay. Light speed communication. Spacefaring groups have always had that struggle with light speed communication or lack thereof because of the essential distance between the two. So it'll be interesting to see which ways can come about from that. Interstellar travel, propulsion systems enable star system exploration, real life Star Trek. So theoretically, within the next 100 years, we could be seeing something. So we are incredibly fortunate to be living in this time. Even if we take the dark timeline and everything goes to shit, it'll be interesting to see it all go down. So I do feel very fortunate to live in this time period.
Probably 50% of the disappearances have some factor of foul play. The place to get away with a crime is on a cruise ship. The place to be a sexual predator and prey on children is on a cruise ship. If you're a rapist, you're more likely to get away with it committing the crime on the cruise ship on the high seas. All of this is happening out in international waters typically. There are no policemen on the scene. You can't summons a police officer who will run onto the crime scene. So they're out there by themselves.
Jim Walker says the industry has done little to clean up its act.
You have cabin attendants now who are being hired from third world countries, no disrespect to the small Caribbean islands, that have no databases. You can't track them even if you wanted to. You don't know what you're getting. But you're hiring a 28-year-old man to be responsible for a 12-year-old girl's cabin, and mom and dad don't know what's happening, and they're at the casino, they're at the show, they're up at the nightclub, and the cabin attendant gets back into the cabin. That's still happening. Those cases are still happening.
While the cruise industry has followed some guidelines, such as installing peepholes in cabin doors, few ships have upgraded their video systems or installed man overboard alarm systems, and passengers continue to disappear.
I just can't believe that the international community are letting this go on, really. It is hard to understand why they let it go on.
That's horrifying, and it makes me wonder if a lot of that stuff is gotten away with because they're over international waters and perhaps laws aren't applicable to them.
Watch Part 1.
If you know, you know. Wait, celebrity skin suits.
Fred Savage? I'm also Tony Danza, Cameron Manheim, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Kevin Nealon, John Forsythe, and Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich.
Call it bizarre, kind of disturbing, and a little freakish. Emma peels away a latex mask and busts to reveal Sophia. Just can't help but wonder what's going on.
All right, now that had to be CGI. Where's the hair?
Wait a minute. There is definitely something different about the two of you. Collagen.
See that? This one, you can see this one clear as day. Clear as day. Okay?
Wait, isn't that the same Tyler Perry who literally wears skin suits and acts as other characters?
If you listen to the voice on Tyler Perry's speak when he speaks, you will clearly hear Will Smith.
She was so happy to have that. It's very sentimental for me, and we do a lot of shooting down here for a lot of the shows. I've been totally computer generated since like the 90s. We do a lot of shooting down here for a lot of the shows. It's 2019, y'all. Nothing's real.
That's a costume. That's a costume. That's a costume.
I don't know how we expect to go to the movies.
Collagen.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is Michael Jackson. Like, how the hell are we going to actually go to the movies? He has his disguise on, you know. So at this point now, I'm tripped out because I'm like,
Michael.
Saw Mike just change and turn into a whole nother person. Like, he was a king of disguises. Like, this nigga could have been standing next to you the whole time. You would not even know it was Mike.
That disguise to him was the burn victim. And Dave, yes, that's his name.
To his Encino house. I think I was at the Encino house. Hello all, this is Dave. How are you? I want to thank each and every one of you for your overwhelming support. May God bless you. I love you. Good night. Thank you very much for all of your support, and may God bless you all. I love you. Goodbye.
That's a costume.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. I'm not saying I believe all this, it's just a theory.
So between a skin suit, which I've seen a number of videos where it is a realistic skin suit, people posing as influential figures, you have that, and you have the AI being able to completely change over the voice and the visuals of the person that's being recorded in real time. They're able to transfer it and change it on the fly. And then if you want to get even more conspiratorial, you just go into cloning aspects where it's just a matter of being able to either create a brand new clone or have a bank of clones and they upload a specific consciousness into these. The number of ways that things can be faked today is just unreal. It's to the point where you're just questioning everything. You really have to question everything.
It honestly blows my mind how nobody's talking about this. The truth about Bob Marley. Bob Marley was a singer back in 1977. For those who don't know, he died in 1977 from a type of cancer in his big toe. But here's when things get crazy. He didn't get cancer from a natural way. An ex-CIA agent actually literally admitted to giving Bob Marley cancer. Here's how the whole story went. A fan approached him at a concert and offered him a pair of boots as a gift. And of course, Bob Marley, being the peaceful man that he was, accepted the gift. And the fan insists that he tried them on, so he put them on, and then he said, "Ouch, my brother!" because there was a needle inside the boots that pricked his big toe. And back then, in the time, him and his family didn't think anything of it. They just thought it was some random spike. But guess what? Years later, that same big toe that got poked was the same big toe that got diagnosed with cancer, which is what caused his death. All he wanted to do was spread love. But follow me for more. Let's get it.
I've been studying Edward Bernay, right? He's a psychologist that really developed PR in this country, right? Which started off as a term for propaganda, but he thought it was too harsh. What he did was he changed society from needs-based society to a desire-based society. So he got us buying products such as like getting women to smoke and getting people to eat bacon in the morning. These were all his propaganda strategies that he put together so that they can sell more products for corporations, right? So I always want to understand the social construct and the reality of it. So I like to go to the root of information. And then from there, I can be a master like those who mastered the world.
Why is the government lying to us about history? There is a civilization as recent as 100 years ago that was omitted from the history books called the Tartarian Empire, and it was technologically far superior. They were able to convert atmospheric pressure into electricity, and as a result of unlimited free energy, they were able to direct their focus towards unity, oneness, peace, love, and harmony, which we don't see in today's society as there is no profit for evil people in times of peace. Tartaria was a country with its own government, its own flag, and its own place on the map. Its territory was huge, covering over 3 million square miles, and if you look back far enough, the country exists on maps predating the 19th century. The Great Wall of China, which is located on China's northern border, is believed to have been built by the Tartarians, although history would say otherwise. There are openings on the wall that are only accessible from the north face of the wall, or from Tartaria. The world government destroyed an entire utopia and kept it hidden because they don't want humanity knowing that there is sustainability in the collective without the interference of heads of state.
Fascinating theory. I love Tartaria, that whole concept. It's one of the many civilizations that have supposedly been wiped out to keep advanced powers, whether it's knowledge or just innate abilities that we have. That is definitely fascinating to me. And it does appear that what we've done instead, or what they quote unquote have intentionally done, is kept us reliant on the purchase power that they have it all with energy. Like if they gave free energy, essentially is the key to it all. If everybody had free energy and we were able to readily be able to acquire the needs that we have as human beings, theoretically, we would, have everything we need, but there's no profit motive in that, as I said.
I am really worried about Britney.
Somebody's been using a filter to look like her. This is a blue-eyed person with a filter of Britney. This isn't Britney. It hasn't been Britney.
Going to New York City, right? She has not been seen by the paparazzi since the summer.
When Britney posted this caption here and it had that code 19CA49. 19CA49 is a hex code for this shade of green. Britney posted a video of her dancing in a dress of the same exact shade of green.
There's no denying that there's something wrong with Britney Spears. In a new video, you can clearly see someone is posing as Britney with some advanced AI filter on their face. This news, paired with other disturbing clues, suggests that Britney Spears is not okay.
Producer said to me, "Take your clothes off." And I said no.
So that's a great example of the live transformations that I was alluding to earlier here, but I forgot completely about another option that I think Lady Gaga is about to get into, but that's just outright controlling via MK Ultra or what other kind of methods they have to control the brain directly of the individual.
And I left, and they told me they were gonna burn all my music. And they didn't stop. They didn't stop asking me, and then I just froze and I don't even remember. I understand this Me Too movement. I understand that some people feel really comfortable with this, and I do not. I do not ever want to face that person again. I felt full-on pain. Then I went numb. And then I was sick for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks after. And I realized that it was the same pain that I felt when the person who dropped me off pregnant on a corner at my parents' house. Because I was vomiting and sick. Because I'd been being abused. I was locked away in a studio for months.
Tell me about the pointy shoulders and the points on your face.
Well,
That's
they've
distracting me
actually
just a
been
little
here.
bit.
They've been here this whole time. But I waited until I put Born This Way out to let them come up for you to see.
I remember that whole thing where she got the implants on her face to be more reptilian-like. I don't think she kept that, though. I think I've seen her more recently. She didn't have that.
Britney Spears is missing, and that all the recent videos of her are deep fakes.
I'd rather be honest with her.
Yeah.
I'd rather just talk about it all.
There's something extremely weird going on with Britney Spears, and fans recently uncovered terrifying evidence that someone's been using filters and AI technology to make fake videos of Britney.
But this is a blue-eyed person with a filter of Britney.
One journalist also recently alleged that people involved in Britney's conservatorship had plans to create an AI project so that Britney would no longer be physically needed. Meanwhile, reports emerged that Selena Gomez, who attended Britney's wedding to Sam Asghari in 2022, is getting increasingly worried about Britney, and she doesn't believe that Britney's truly free. So is Britney really missing? And how did Selena react to the new evidence?
I want and also to have a voice.
Yeah.
For people who are afraid of saying that.
Yeah. It looks like it's time for Free Britney Movement 2.0 because it's becoming obvious that Britney Spears is not okay. Do you remember when Selena Gomez attended Britney's wedding last year and Britney's IG account shared a bunch of fake-looking photos that appeared to be badly photoshopped? Well, fans have uncovered new evidence seemingly proving that everything on Britney's IG is indeed fake, maybe even Britney herself. Now, you may think this is just another celeb conspiracy theory, but wait till you see the evidence, because there's something very disturbing going on with Britney. As you all probably know, Britney spent 13 plus years under conservatorship.
Kind of strange. If it starts talking, then it might be concerning.
Jesus Christ died at 33. Why did he die at 33? 33 is the number of influence. Jesus is the most influential dead man in the world. The reason he's so influential is because the number was placed on him. 33. Muslims have 33 beads. They go like this way. It's part of their religion. Again, the number 33. You'll find that in every single religion there is, because numerology supersedes everything.
A woman presses her face against the mirror to take a selfie. What happens next is simply chilling. Let me know in the comments when you see it.
Ooh, trippy. Yeah, that's deep. That's heavy.
Daddy, my friend gave me a bag of money.
What?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Are you there?
What the? That's a lot of money, dude.
What?
Where's your friend at right now?
Whoa, can you imagine?
What?
I think
All right, let's go inside, guys.
Flashes on. All right, let's.
it's kind of a horrifying concept, though. Like, I thought it was going to take us to a leprechaun or something. Leprechaun, give him a bag of gold or something. But yeah, that's a pretty gnarly concept. I think they would have been better off to not show the little black stick figure thing there at the end that kind of ruined it for me. But it's still pretty trippy concept nonetheless.
Take a look.
What do you think's in there?
I don't know. I guess nothing.
I haven't even had this camera set up a day and already caught paranormal activity. Watch the mirror. I hate this creepy AF haunted, spooky, ghoul-infested house.
I'm just so much of a skeptical, and the fact that they had even the hat, the brim of the hat, suggesting it was a Hat Man thing, I think it was a little bit too on the nose. But I have seen what I would consider clips of some sort of spiritual being not in our same realm. I don't know, you can call them ghosts, whatever you can call them, whatever you want, but I do believe that there are video evidence pieces of that, but I don't know if I would consider that one of them. I don't know exactly what we're looking here, but while we're looking at the planes here, I do want to ask you guys if you have caught up with all the recent plane accidents that have been occurring more so recently this year than any other time. From what I've heard, I'm only hearing hearsay at this point, but what have you heard on this? I jokingly said to the person that had brought it up to me, they mentioned it, and I said, well, maybe it's just UFOs interfering. Maybe they're cloaked UFOs and they're just running into them, but who knows? What are your thoughts on all this? Have you heard about all this? This person has very steady hands.
What is that, Mom? What? Ma, you see this?
No. Holy shit!
What
What
is-
the hell is that?
What is happening? You guys see this? Oh my god, what the fuck is happening?
What is that?
What is that?
Wow. That.
What the hell?
Wow. Crazy stuff to see every day. A real zombie? That to me looked mostly like a case of a man on heavy on some drugs. I know that I've heard multiple accounts of people comparing people on bath salts to zombies as well, and that seems more realistically the situation. Whoa. Wow, what was this? I assume that this is all part of the same Chinese event here. Whoa. Was this a filming of a... Huh.
I'm sorry, what is happening in China? Apparently in China, there's a zombie apocalypse. Yeah, a flipping zombie apocalypse. This basically all started because people were saying that China would be the most likely place for a zombie apocalypse to break out. And also it's China, so they'd probably keep it a secret and not tell anyone. Which, I mean, fair enough. That is quite believable. Now people are saying there actually is a zombie apocalypse in China happening right now. And you got all the people who have watched The Walking Dead thinking they're ready for it and going to survive it. It's pretty mixed. Some people are getting scared about it. Some people are actually excited. But we need to calm down a minute because it's probably isn't real. It's so unlikely that there's actually a zombie apocalypse happening in China, but you never know. But I mean, hit that follow button, I'll keep you updated on it, and COD Zombies players, let's go back a bunch.
Why did NASA stop exploring the ocean? It's alleged till date that we've only explored less than 5% of our oceans, and there are many things yet to be discovered. Tales of the Kraken, the Megalodon, and many mythical creatures living in the ocean might not just be a myth anymore. In 1958, NASA started exploring the deep ocean, charting and mapping out the ocean floor. However, on June 28, 1978, this program was abruptly halted, and NASA immediately got to work trying to get us off the planet. So, what is really living deep in the ocean? What did NASA discover? And
creepy mysteries, deep sea creatures.
Ooh. See, I think, yeah, the bottom of the ocean is probably one of the scariest places on Earth. The ocean in general is so scary. She is a mean bitch when she wants to be. Mother Nature in general. I mean, it could be the crazy wildlife out there, and maybe that's why they stopped exploring the ocean.
There's this footage that was captured deep in the Gulf of Mexico that appears to show an abnormally large creature. Now later it was confirmed that this was a rare type of squid called a magna pinna. These creatures can grow to be over 20 feet long, and it's thought that they feed by dragging their long tentacles along the seafloor. But this is speculation because at the end of the day, we know very little about this.
Yeah, it could be to avoid the wildlife, or it could be they're trying to avoid something else or someone else. Who knows?
Let's get to the point. Do you really enjoy what you think you enjoy? Every time you pick up your phone and scroll without thinking. Every time you open another tab to see something that deep down doesn't even interest you. Every time you eat without hunger, laugh without joy, consume without need. Who is enjoying? You, or the system that conditioned you to seek immediate pleasure? Here's the brutal truth. You've been programmed to chase pleasure but never to achieve it. And the worst part is, you didn't even realize it. We live in an era where pleasure is around the corner, but why is it never enough? Aldous Huxley predicted this almost a century ago. He warned us that true control wouldn't come through oppression, but through pleasure. It wouldn't be through force, but through distraction. A world where there would be no need to ban books because people would lose interest in reading. A world where the truth wouldn't be hidden because it would be buried under mountains of irrelevance. A world where people wouldn't need to be controlled because they'd be too addicted to their own slavery.
So this reminds me of the allegory of the cave, where all people can see are the shadows in front of them while they're in the cave and there's fire behind them. And they believe that that is all that there is to life. So much so that they will essentially condemn or ostracize people that question the shadows and believe that there are things other than this.
And here you are, in Huxley's world. The world where every desire is fulfilled in seconds. The world where satisfaction is instant, but the emptiness multiplies. The world where pleasure is not a reward, but a drug. Because that's what they've done to pleasure. They've turned it into a control mechanism. Do you think you're free because you can choose what you consume? But who is really choosing when every option has been designed to trap you? Look around. Observe the amount of stimuli competing for your attention. Every notification, every sound, every flash of color. A trap disguised as entertainment. Immediate pleasure is the new dictatorship. They don't punish you, they entertain you. They don't repress you, they stimulate you. They don't lock you up, they fill you with options that leave you paralyzed. And so
This is pretty true. This is really true. It makes me think access leads to excess. In general, with the internet, we have access to everything. And with that, people are going to be incredibly gluttonous and just consume. And living in the digital age, we've also been introduced into the attention economy, where your eyeballs are money signs to hell, even me. I mean, your attention right now is everything. It's how I make a living. It's how most people in some way are living, whether it's through monetarily, or a lot of people just need attention in general. We're social creatures, so that's maybe a big issue there, is that attention used to be received and given before the digital age in person. With the introduction of the digital age, we've seen modern advertisement come in and become increasingly invasive. And exactly as he's saying, the stimuli are coming from every single angle. We have ridiculous amounts of money that are being spent studying, trying to keep your attention and I believe it's called the dark psychology. I can't remember what it's called, but essentially they find the best ways to manipulate you into either buying their products or just spending more time on their platform. Just look at TikTok. They were revolutionary just because they didn't have you press play. They just automatically started playing. Oh, such a revolutionary thing. But really, it's like, okay, it makes sense. You're going to cut out some middlemen. And they make everything just immediate. We're all about the immediate gratification. Long-term gratification is a thing of the past. That's why, people are in the worst mental and physical health status of their life. With the ability to connect more readily and more accessibly to anyone at any point, it's taken away our need, our incentive, our desire to meet in person and to give and share that attention, that precious asset, that attention, your time, your focus, and to give and receive that to people in person is just really, it's a rare thing these days, and it's becoming more and more of an issue. People are becoming more unable to even be around one another, to communicate effectively. It's a wild world.
People get lost in fleeting pleasures while their real life crumbles. It's addiction. And like any addiction, it's not the pleasure that's sought, but the next dose. Food is no longer food, it's dopamine in the form of sugar and fat. Social media is not connection, it's sparks of artificial validation. The content you consume is not learning, it's mental anesthesia. They've sold us the lie that pleasure is the purpose, but what if it's the poison? Aldous Huxley made it clear, the future wouldn't be of oppression, but of distraction. And here's the real problem. Every dose of cheap pleasure weakens your ability to feel real pleasure. Children can no longer concentrate on a book, but they can spend hours watching 5-second videos.
Ooh, that's so scary true. That's so scary true. And there's a reason that people have begun doing dopamine detox, because they lose their attention span so much, and they have engulfed and consumed so much entertainment so abundantly that they've eliminated their ability to even feel that momentary joy, to get that momentary chemical dopamine drop. Unfortunately, kids these days are not in the best environment, the most conducive environment to utilize the technology that we have. We haven't been able to adjust and modify our society in general to accommodate the new inventions that will inevitably shape our society for better or for worse. You look at Idiocracy, and it's truly becoming more and more realistic every day.
Adults can't enjoy silence, but they can fill every minute with senseless noise. Relationships deteriorate because effort is no longer justified when instant gratification is just a click away. Effortless pleasure destroys the ability to fight for what really matters. Because what brings the most pleasure in life is what costs the most. The problem is not pleasure. The problem is how easily you get it. Think about it. Why has love become disposable? Because there are infinite options. Why do people no longer pursue big dreams? Because immediate gratification is more accessible. Why do you never feel completely satisfied? Because fleeting pleasure doesn't fill the void. And this is how pleasure becomes a weapon. It keeps you distracted while your life passes by. It keeps you addicted while you lose the ability to feel real pleasure. It keeps you trapped in the pursuit of something that will never come. Because pleasure is not the problem. It's the price you pay for it. The question is, are you willing to keep paying? But the biggest trap is not the addiction to pleasure. It's the illusion that you need it. They've taught us that happiness is an enjoyment, but no one taught us to endure boredom. No one prepared us for the void. no one explained that real life, the one that's worth living, is not a succession of exciting moments, but a series of struggles. They sold us the idea that everything must be stimulating, easy, pleasurable, and now, every time we face something difficult, we feel like something is wrong.
Ooh, this is gold. This is absolutely accurate. We've coddled the next generation entirely, and you can see meme after meme of, you know, how different generations would handle their parenting, and it's becoming more and more of kids raising kids, essentially.
If studying isn't fun, we quit. If a relationship has problems, we discard it. If a project requires effort without immediate reward, we leave it for later. Because the modern world has conditioned you to be impatient, to think that discomfort is a mistake, to flee from the void instead of understanding it. And what's the result? A society of people unable to tolerate the slightest frustration. People who need constant stimuli to avoid facing their own thoughts. People who fill every silence with noise. People who confuse comfort with happiness and end up more miserable than ever. Because here's the big paradox. The easier it is to obtain pleasure, the harder it is to be happy. The brain is not designed to live in a constant state of reward. When everything is pleasure, nothing is special. When everything is immediate, nothing has value. When everything is easy, life loses its meaning. And yet, here we are, increasing the dose, seeking the next dopamine hit, the next video, the next message, the next stimulus that will make us forget for a second that we're empty inside. But here comes the worst part. Not only are they stealing your happiness, they're stealing your ability to think. Because a mind addicted to pleasure is a mind incapable of questioning. And that, in terms of social control, is the master move. They keep us entertained so we don't realize what they're taking from us. Do you remember when you could spend hours concentrating on something without feeling the need to check your phone? Do you remember when you could get bored without panicking? Do you remember when your attention wasn't fragmented into 1,000 pieces? All of that has been programmed to disappear. Every app, every social network, every entertainment platform has been designed to hack your brain, to make you unable to focus, to train you to respond to impulses rather than thoughts, to turn you into a passive consumer instead of a conscious creator. Because a person who can't concentrate can't learn, a person who can't endure boredom can't reflect, a person who can't think clearly can't question. And that's the ultimate goal. You don't need an authoritarian government when you have an entertained population. You don't need censorship when people no longer have an interest in questioning anything. You don't need chains when people lock themselves in cages made of cheap pleasure. Aldous Huxley said it clearly. The love of servitude will be our destiny. But it won't be an imposed servitude. It will be a chosen servitude, a servitude disguised as freedom. Want to know how they do it? Through saturation. They've taught us that freedom is being able to choose. But when they give you infinite options, they're actually taking away your power. You choose between 1,000 series, but none of them fulfill you. You choose between 1,000 songs, but you can't enjoy any of them completely. You choose between 1,000 people with a flaw, but each relationship is more superficial than the last. You think you have more options, but in reality, you only have more distractions. And when everything is superficial, when everything is fast, when everything is replaceable, nothing really matters. That's the trap. The society of pleasure doesn't make you freer. It makes you weaker. Because the more conditioned you are to seek immediate pleasure, the less capacity you have to resist discomfort. And discomfort is the foundation of growth. There's no success without effort. There's no love without sacrifice. There's no purpose without pain. But the modern world doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to consume. because a person who faces difficulty strengthens. A person who resists discomfort becomes independent. A person who can delay gratification becomes dangerous, because they no longer need the cheap pleasures the system offers them. And here's the final question. Are you still the owner of your mind? Or have you become a slave to pleasure? The first step to reclaiming your freedom isn't to put down your phone. It's not to uninstall an app. It's not to avoid temptations. It's to understand that pleasure is not the problem. It's the relationship you have with it. If you can control your desire for immediate pleasure, you can control your life. If you can resist instant gratification, you can build something real. If you can endure boredom, you can start to think for real. Because pleasure is not the enemy. The enemy is the weakness it creates when you don't know how to use it. So the next time you feel the need to look for another distraction, ask yourself this. Who's in control here? If you can control your desire for immediate pleasure, you can control your life. If you can resist instant gratification, you can build something real. If you can endure boredom, you can start to think for real. Because pleasure is not the enemy. The enemy is the weakness it creates when you don't know how to use it. So the next time you feel the need to look for another distraction, ask yourself this. Who's in control here? Because if it's not you, then someone else is. And that, my friend, is the greatest form of slavery. Now that you know this, the question is not if you'll keep falling into the trap. The question is, what are you going to do with this information? Because here comes the scariest part. The pleasure that controls you today won't disappear just because you understand it. Your brain has already been conditioned. Your patience has already been destroyed. Your attention has already been fragmented. And if you don't do something about it, you'll follow the same path as the rest. Because that's the system's master move. It makes you believe that understanding the problem is the same as solving it.
Right.
It's not. Knowledge without action is just another distraction. So, tell me, are you going to close this video and go on with your life as if nothing happened? Or are you going to take control? I'm not telling you to become a monk. I'm not telling you to live without pleasure. What I'm telling you is to develop the most valuable muscle that exists, self-control, the ability to decide when to stop, when to say no, when to get out of the cycle before it's too late. Because if you don't learn to master pleasure, pleasure will master you. And I'm going to tell you something no one tells you. The people who really succeed in life, the ones who build something bigger than themselves, the ones who leave a mark, the ones who live with purpose. They're not the most talented. They're not the smartest. They're not the luckiest. They are the ones who learned to delay immediate pleasure, to resist the temptation of the easy, to endure the discomfort of doing the hard. And those people aren't born that way. They build themselves every day, deciding what others aren't willing to decide, saying no to what others can't reject, mastering the art of doing what needs to be done, and not what gives them pleasure in the moment. So here's the challenge. The next time you feel the need to seek immediate pleasure, stop. Just for a second. Feel the impulse. Observe it. Recognize it for what it is, a chain they've placed on your mind. And then, decide. Decide if you really want to give in or if you want to reclaim your power. Because in every insignificant decision, in every moment where you delay the easy to do the important, you're training your brain to be the master of itself. And if you start today, if you do this over and over again, if you break the pattern, one day you'll wake up and realize something. You're not like the rest. You don't need constant validation. You don't need instant gratification. You don't need chains disguised as pleasure, because you belong to yourself. And when that happens, when you regain control, the system no longer has power over you. pleasure stops being a drug and becomes what it was always meant to be, a reward, not a prison. So tell me, will you keep being a slave to pleasure, or will you do what few dare to do?
Let's be realistic. We're all going to be continuous slaves to pleasure. It's not realistic for us to just completely cut it all off. But I do think it is important to be aware of our actions and to be aware really just of the gluttonous nature of humanity and the oversaturation of literally everything all around us, all colors, all flavors, all just everything. Everything is so just so loud and so in your face, and it's just the nature of the internet and the digital age. It forces everything in your face, whether you like it or not. But definitely an interesting watch here. I definitely think a lot of great points were brought up there, and I agree with a lot of it.
On tonight's episode of Unanswered Oddities, humans, are they real or just a youngling's fairy tale? Humans have been a great mystery of our time. These creatures of lore supposedly ate potatoes and enjoyed sleep. They're thought to be long extinct, if they ever existed at all. But recent sightings all across the world have drummed up the debate once again. Rural Morgmog, 2 hours outside of Deedle, a hiker claims to have seen a human.
So yeah, it was a Tuesday night. I had just gotten home from spitting. I went out for my midnight lurk, I was just being creepy and weird, and that's when I saw it. It was a human. You could tell by the knees. I've seen them in the historical books, and it was just standing there, listening to sound. I thought I might die.
I was called to the scene around midnight. Mr. Fugsnuck was in a panic. I searched the area for humans, but only found a toothbrush.
We don't know much about humans, other than they were most likely wildly stupid creatures. We do believe they did some cool things, though, like super sweet water sports.
The current prevailing theory is that humanity was wiped off the planet by what were called escalators. One by one, each human slowly sucked into the moving stairs, taken out by their own dumb invention. It would have been quite the sight.
But of course not everyone believes that humans existed.
Humans ain't real, brother. That's a ruse made up by the monolith to distract us from the fact that they are putting plants in our food.
Whether you are a believer or not, something happened to Mr. Fugsnuck that night.
Now that I think about it, it could have just been a tree that I saw. It was pretty dark, and my eyes were closed, so it's hard to say.
As is department policy, I fired off multiple rounds into those woods just in case there was a human. I was promoted shortly after.
Without definitive proof, we may never know if humans actually existed or still exist today. What we do know is water sports are awesome.
So this is easily one of my favorite new creators that is utilizing AI. They're NeuralViz, definitely check them out. Unanswered Oddities. This is just the first episode. This is just a little mini series that he makes. He's even got like a little few spin-offs on the channel. I love the channel. Highly recommend it. Obviously, I'll link it down below. Yeah, one of my favorite new series. It's got a very unique vibe to it, and it also parodies human beings in general pretty well. So definitely one of my favorite new shows.
Not too bright, folks. Not too fucking bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. And you say to them, well, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. They say, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil. Got a pencil? Get the fuck in there, it's physics. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Education. Politicians know that word. They use it on you. Politicians have traditionally hidden behind three things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start, left behind. Someone's losing fucking ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people. White collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on. The fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Mr. George Carlin, way ahead of his time, knew what was all up. He knew everything all along. And he told us right there, and several other comedy bits, he told us the truth. And it's such a unique opportunity that comedians in general have been given really before the time of, the modern internet, because now everybody has the access to what I'm about to say. But back then, a comedian was one of the few paths that actually allowed somebody to speak these truths to you, and you were listened. You listened. It's actually, I believe it's from a Bill Hicks documentary. It says, a comedian is one of the few professions where people will pay you to come, and they'll say, hey, entertain me. Here, speak to me. Nowadays we have YouTube and the modern day internet, so anybody can do that at any point. Now it's completely oversaturated to the point of no return, but nevertheless, definitely one of the best comedic bits of all time, 100%. George Carlin, rest in peace, man.
There is a point. Is there a point to all this? Let's find a point. Is there a point to my act? I would say there is. I have to. The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. And we kill those people. Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. This has to be real. It's just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try and tell us that. You ever notice that? And let the demons run amok? But it doesn't matter because it's just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to put bigger locks on your door, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love instead see all of us as one. Here's what we can do to change the world right now to a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace.
Another monumental comedian that we lost far too soon, Bill Hicks. Definitely, in my mind, his best bit. And I absolutely agree with it. I love the messaging. I love the anecdote. It's perfectly well executed and fits the bill. Again, he knew what was up. And ironically enough, Bill Hicks is involved in one of my favorite conspiracy theories where Bill Hicks, essentially the character, this person, died. He died in real life. And some argue that he faked his death and he underwent a little bit of facial surgery and came back as Alex Jones. And there's a lot of documentation and really strange coincidences that line up really well with this theory. So definitely has become one of my favorite theories.
You got me, okay? Are you happy now? You bastards? Yes, I am Bill Hicks. Or to be more accurate, you didn't get it all, did you? You didn't get the full conspiracy. I played the character, Bill Hicks, for 15 years with my accomplice, Kevin Booth. And we fooled you all. The master actor, the master genius. And then I decided to bring forward an even more incredible persona, that of Alex Jones.
But on the notion of it being just a ride, it really does remind me of another speaker, kind of on the opposite realm or opposite end of the spectrum here for what we're going all over the place here. But this is kind of in the same realm of it just being a ride.
Suppose you're God. Suppose you have all time, all eternity, and all power at your disposal. What would you do? I believe you'd say to yourself after a while, man, get lost. It's like asking another question, which is supposing you were given the power to dream any dream you wanted to dream every night. Naturally, you could dream any span of time. You could dream 75 years of time in one night, 100 years of time in one night, 1,000 years of time in one night. And it could be anything you wanted. You make up your mind before you went to sleep, tonight I'm going to dream of so-and-so. Well, naturally, you would start out by fulfilling all your wishes. You would have all the pleasures you could imagine, the most marvelous meals, the most entrancing love affairs, the most romantic journeys. You could listen to music such as no mortal has heard and see landscapes beyond our wildest dreams.
And for several nights, maybe for a whole month of nights, you would go on that way, having a wonderful time. But then after a while, you'd begin to think, well, I've seen quite a bit. Let's spice it up. Let's have a little adventure. And therefore, you would dream of yourself being threatened by all sorts of dangers. You would rescue princesses from dragons. You would perhaps engage in notable battles. You would be a hero. And then, as time went on, you would dare yourself to do more and more outrageous things. And at some point in the game, you would say, tonight, I am going to dream in such a way that I don't know that I'm dreaming. So that you would take the experience of the dream for complete reality. And what a shock when you woke up. And you really scare yourself. And then, on successive nights, you might dare yourself to experience the most extraordinary things just for the contrast when you woke up. You could, for example, dream yourself in situations of extreme poverty, disease, agony. You could, as it were, work on the vibration of suffering to its most intense point, and then suddenly, wake up and find it was after all nothing but a dream and everything perfectly okay. And you would say, wow, man, that was a gas. Well, how do you know that that's not what you're doing already? You, sitting there with all your problems, with all your whole complicated life situation, listening to me, it may just be the very dream you decided to get into. If you like it, crazy. If you don't like it, what fun it'll be when you wake up.
Philosopher Alan Watts, among my favorite of his speeches and his talks. He has a couple of them where he talks about essentially us being God in base reality or whatever, and this reality that we're sharing here is nothing more than just us dreaming it and pretending that we don't have complete control of it. To me, looking at it objectively seems like such a beautiful notion and kind of makes sense. It makes more sense to me than a lot of different philosophies and ways of approaching life. And I think it also coincides with a lot of different lifestyles and views as well. So it's definitely an interesting premise and definitely one of my favorite talks from Alan Watts. He's got a lot of good talks, and he's definitely shaped a lot of my worldviews. But that's all we got for this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I got plenty more videos lined up, so be sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Much love. Cheers. See you guys all next time.